Alright, welcome to another episode of the Logicast. My name is BlankaKong. I'm joined by Gunner Eos, Huddle Wolf, and Mr. Esoteric Skills. I forgot your name for like a second. Sorry. Almost used your government name. My bad.
Sheesh,
Listen,
damn.
man, listen. I'm looking at this screen with this like weird looking character right now, so I can't see the Discord, which is my visual reminder of who's here. Anyway, you guys have read the thumbnail. You guys have seen read the title, seen the thumbnail. You see what I'm looking at, which is this Game World Observer article. Sony pulls Concord from sale just 2 weeks after its disastrous launch, offering refunds to all players. Fake news, because it wasn't 2 weeks. 2 weeks is comprised of 14 days. The game actually only lasted 12 days. Just wanted to point that out. And
Oh my God.
if you don't know, Concord is a hero shooter service game, so it's like an online only kind of Overwatch style game where you play as like different characters. There are 16 characters in the game, 6 game modes, which is like, you know, where you have to like, there's like hard point, like you have to control the points, and there's like I think a deathmatch variant and 4 others that I don't know about. I didn't care too much to like dive into it because the game won't exist, or it doesn't exist. By the time this episode comes out, the game is dead.
It's gone.
It will officially close on September 6th. So yeah, and this episode is out a little after that. So the game will be gone by then. So why the hell are we talking about it? Well, because we don't have much else to talk about, and it's kind of funny. And this just kind of supports my pseudo boycott against online only games, because I think those games are cancerous to the industry and cancerous to the art form, and so any opportunity I get to bash it and shit on it, I will gladly take it. We'll also talk a little bit about Ubisoft and Star Wars Outlaws, another Game World Observer article. Ubisoft shares fall to the lowest since 2015. That's a 10-year low, with analysts cutting sales forecasts for Star Wars Outlaws, which is never a good thing. And I'll scroll down and you'll see this beautiful chart of these red lines going down. If you know anything about business, or if you have eyes, you can see that this is not good. A high of 1750, that was in August, and this is a 5-day forecast. So it went from 1750 down to $11.10. That's a tremendous drop. That's wild. Anyway. So those are the topics. We're going to talk a little bit about Discord, a little bit about Ubisoft's Star Wars Outlaws game.
Concord.
What would I say?
You said
Don't
Discord.
don't disrespect
Sorry,
Discord
we
like
use
that.
Discord.
I hope Discord.
We use Discord to
that'd be very
communicate.
inconvenient.
Concord, damn it. That's how you know it's a bad game, because the title sucks too. And while we're talking about the game, I'm also going to just showcase gameplay of Concord, just so that those watching have something to look at.
Don't get
Want
too
their eyeballs to
excited
burn?
Well, the game doesn't look... Well, no, I'm lying. The game does look bad from a design standpoint. I think the characters are terrible. I think the UI is kind of like... is trying too hard to be like, I don't know, too colorful. I don't know. It just don't work for me. But I think it's a competent like hero shooter for what it wants to do gameplay-wise. I think it looks fine from like my normie, perspective. At least when it comes to these games, I'm like a normie. I don't really play these games like that. But before we get to that, I'll just kind of quickly go through the article, and then I'll let you guys kind of throw in your piece. So Firewalk Studios game director Ryan Ellis announced in a post on PlayStation Blog that Concord will be going offline September 6th, just 2 weeks after its global launch, 12 days. The game has already been taken down from sale from PlayStation Store, Epic Games Store, and Steam. Concord is no longer available on the Steam Store. And refunds will be issued to those who bought copies from retailers. So I still have some context from GameStop. It's not a corporate like thing yet, but I think it's headed there. And I know personally, like stores have been issuing refunds to people who have purchased the game within, well, I was gonna say within the launch window, but obviously it's within the launch window. Concord released on August 23rd. Had a lackluster launch in terms of players. I can speak English, I promise. The game has reached a maximum of 697 concurrent users on Steam, which is very low for a game like that. and it is a AAA budget. The budget for this game was about $200,000 and had an 8-year development cycle, which is a lot. It's huge. Just to give you context, Spider-Man 2 had a development cost of $300 million. And that game I think has yet to recoup its costs, and that was a successful game. So Firewalk Studios is a part of Sony's live service ambitions. PlayStation partnered with Firewalk Studios in 2021 to publish the studio's then unannounced AAA multiplayer game. The Japanese company fully acquired the team last year to accelerate the growth of its live service operations. Ouch. It is worth noting that Firewalk was established in 2018 as a part of the Probably Monsters Collective, which specializes in incubating AAA studios, led by former Bungie president Harold Ryan. Probably Monsters also raised $200 million in September of 2020 to finance multiple games in development by its in-house teams, including Firewalk. Don't know how I was looking for those games, but probably not good. Bungie was also acquired in 2022. That's why Destiny is now a official Sony game. We don't know if another Destiny game is going to come out or whatever. But that's basically all of it. Let me see. Let me just read this last part. Ryan, the former CEO of Jim Ryan, the former CEO of Sony America, called this an untapped opportunity for the company, which plans to launch multiple games as a service projects by March 2026. In addition to Concord, this pipeline included multiplayer games based on Sony's franchises like The Last of Us, which has already been canceled, and Horizon, as well as original IPs like Haven Studios' Fair Games, which that's that shooter game with everybody has masks on, right? They all have like they're all robbers or something.
Oh.
I don't know. Doesn't matter. Who cares?
I have
I'm not
no
gonna play
idea.
it. Doesn't matter. I don't care. And it is unclear whether Sony will adjust its strategy following Concord's flop. The company's only success in this field so far is Helldivers 2, a co-op shooter made by a third-party studio, Arrowhead. Despite its current state and declining player interest, the game was a huge commercial success, selling over 12 million copies across PS5, PC in just 12 weeks. That game is steadily declining in terms of user base, and there's a little bit of controversy surrounding that game as far as some of the policies that Sony tried to kind of force on Steam users. So it's not looking hot for them either, even though I think Helldivers is a great game, based on what I've seen. So
yeah, they kind of shot themselves in the foot with those.
You give them an inch, they'll take a mile, as they say. So anyway, I will stop talking. I'll let you guys chime in, and I'll switch over the visuals to the gameplay.
Well, you get what you deserve, I guess. I don't know what Sony was thinking releasing a hero shooter in an age where hero shooters are pretty much not really interesting anymore, and everybody just plays Overwatch. I was telling a friend this today, that if people wanted to play a hero shooter that's at least competent, has run its paces, and works, and 2, also pushes the messages that Concord was definitely pushing, just play Overwatch. Overwatch has got gays, they've got trans, they've got lesbians, they've got the whole 9 yards. Concord tried to do it. I'm just going to be honest. I know some of our audience and some of the guys here might get tired of it, but Concord definitely pushed a message with their gameplay. Brother, the game had a robot whose pronouns were he and him, okay? In character select, they had characters with pronouns. So clearly, the development team that made Concord wanted to say something in regards to that. So, just play Overwatch. And in terms of the actual game, the physical running game, it was serviceable, but again, Overwatch exists. And the major problem I saw when people were playing the beta was that the time to kill was atrocious. You would mag dump into people and they still wouldn't die. And these games need to have a decent enough time to kill where you feel like you're doing something productive, but you don't want it so fast that you can barely play the game before you're dead. So there was multiple reasons why Concord failed. The genre is played out. and nobody really cares about hero shooters. They were obviously pushing a message with their character designs and their character lore. 1000%, you cannot fight me on that. And 3, it was not a solid video game experience. So I think that's the triple threat right there. It's the reason why Concord died. Now I'm surprised it died this quickly. I figured that since Sony pumped a bunch of money into this game, they were literally going to force this game down people's throats, no pun intended, until they enjoyed it. But apparently not. I don't know, maybe Sony saw something that we don't have access to and didn't even want to bother keeping this game afloat. And what's the biggest thing, which is really rare for Sony to do, is that they issued or are issuing full refunds, not partial refunds, not store credit, full refunds on PC and PlayStation 5. And if you know anything about Sony's online storefront, they never issue refunds. The last time there was a full refund of a game was Cyberpunk, original Cyberpunk on PlayStation 4, and that's because the game just did not run on PlayStation 4s. And so Sony, to avoid a lawsuit of any kind, issued refunds. So the fact that they're doing that with this game, that's the more astounding part. They are not even going to try to keep the money from like the 3 people that bought this game. They're issuing refunds, which is pretty nuts. So yeah, that's my initial hit on this. Like, it's just a genre people don't care about, a message they were trying to push that people are grown sick of. Ugly characters, uninspiring gameplay, and it's just made for a game that no one gave a shit about. Pretty much. TLDR. No one cared about this game. No one wanted it.
Yeah, I just feel really bad about the people that were looking forward to this game. I couldn't even say it with a straight face, but it looks really bad. Like, how much money did Sony put into this game, really? Because honestly, from what I'm seeing,
apparently,
I don't see it. I don't see it, and it could be that because I'm looking on a third party from a third party perspective, in the sense that Kong is currently streaming it, and I'm watching it there, but it looks really bad. The characters
Let's be clear,
look terrible.
I'm not playing the game and streaming it. I'm streaming it on Discord for these guys to watch it as I'm recording it. I don't play this garbage. Just
No. It was already assumed because you said you was gonna have it. Whoa, it's quite defensive here.
Listen, man, I gotta defend my reputation here.
Don't take my cred, man.
No, I hear you, but honestly, I've heard the name, like I've heard Concord, quite a couple of times. And most I've heard was that the game is coming out. I never really investigated it because, as Kong, stated, it's an online only game, which I'm not too fond of, because once the servers die, the game dies, and therefore it becomes a paperweight in my collection. And I would absolutely have no use for it. Also, pretty much everything that Gunna said, the whole hero shooters, it's a dying breed now. Concord is quite a few years too late. They should have jumped on the gravy train when they had the chance. The gameplay, from what I'm seeing here,
Look how long it takes to kill someone. I'm sorry, like the guy threw a super and they had time to run away. I'm sorry.
Yeah, I don't know, man. I don't know. It doesn't look that great. I think you'd be better off, as Gunna said, playing Overwatch, or maybe even Valorant. Valorant looks way more interesting. I'm not sure if that's considered a hero shooter.
It is a hero shooter, but it plays more like CS:GO, so it's a tactical hero shooter.
Gotcha.
The time to kill in that game is fast. You die in like 1 to 2 shots. So
yeah,
that's
and
why
it's
more
fun.
tactical.
It's fun. It's engaging. The gameplay is pretty fast. This looks pretty slow. Like, I'm looking at the characters' designs right now, and they look terrible. Carlos the Jackie? What?
You don't want to play.
I was just reading one of the names of the characters.
Old Korean grandma in fucking winter clothes.
Okay, so put it like this: like I've played games where the characters weren't aesthetically pleasing, and the game kind of overshadowed that minor issue that I had with the game. This just compounds it. You know, you're playing with ugly characters. The game overall looks ugly. The gameplay doesn't look that solid. From what I'm seeing here, maybe people could beg to differ. You know, the 20 people that purchased the game, which I have to say that I'm absolutely, even though I did laugh in the beginning.
25,000 globally, not 20.
Globally.
25,000 globally.
That's
25,000
nuts.
globally.
Okay.
Oh my god! Well, the 25,000 who are looking forward to playing this game, I do, you know, I do feel bad for you guys, because you guys were probably following this game for quite a while, and y'all were anticipating this game, and it just shows that the masses, this is not what the masses are looking for. So, you know, sorry for you guys. You know, I'd be butthurt too if I had a game that I really enjoyed, and after 12 days, it you know, it kicked the can and whatnot. But before the taping of this video, Kong, you know, made a crazy comparison about Wukong versus this game, you know, where, and Kong can kind of chime in afterwards, where Wukong made, you know, its substantial amount just in China, right? And this game couldn't even meet none of the metrics that they met, that Wukong met globally. That's mind-boggling.
Well, I can give you the numbers real
that
quick.
is insane.
You know, Wukong made it sold 10 million copies in its first 3 days. Actually, the game is available only digitally on the same platforms that this game was available on. And as of now, as of the beginning of September, the game has made 850 million for their publisher. So it is definitely a successful IP for Sony and for I forget the Mind Psychic. I don't know the name of the studio. It slips my mind, but the game did really, really well for itself, and it's about a 15-hour game or so. So
yeah, you know, and that just also goes to show, like, a game doesn't have to be significantly long or everlasting for gamers to enjoy it. You know, it is a plus if a game is really good and it's everlasting, like you know, the Monster Hunter series. You can play that you could play that now. You can go back and play it. It's pretty much timeless. And you have more value out of your dollar for purchasing Monster Hunter if you enjoy that game, because there's a substantial amount of content in there. Whereas this game is meant to be online, is meant to be, multiplayer, cooperative, things of that nature, but it didn't even last that long due to the fact that it wasn't a substantial game. You know, it just doesn't look good. And I wasn't looking at it until now, and I'm glad that I wasn't, because yeah, it's really not that great. And you know, also adding in all the stuff that Gunnar and Kong said as well. So that's pretty much my take on it. I'm pretty sure that this game is not going to get a sequel. Idealistically speaking, I hope the studio can recover from this. Realistically speaking, highly doubt that. I'm pretty sure they're going to be let go. I do believe in redemption. Hopefully they can come out with a game, if they stay afloat, if they even, stick around. Hopefully they could come out with a game that's actually substantial, that's actually, that has good gameplay, that isn't a hero shooter. Maybe they can do something. But this isn't it, and that's pretty much it from my perspective.
So, Wolf, do you have anything to say, man? Are you watching the gameplay right now?
Yeah, I'm watching the gameplay.
What are your thoughts, man? Do you like the grandma, old lady, Korean lady?
No.
Do you like the blue?
No, I don't.
Gorilla Man, Star Child? Who's your character, man?
I thought that was
You like Hellboy?
I thought that was the character from Guardians of the Galaxy. What's his name? Drax.
But Drax.
Drax, yeah. Okay. As far as the part where it's running and gunning, or you're doing the gameplay stuff, I'm not as harsh as everyone else. To me, it doesn't look like it's anything out of the norm of picking up some random title that you found on a shelf at a game store and just want to try it out. But it's not on like a Overwatch level. It's definitely not on an Overwatch level. I feel like this game is slow in comparison.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
If I had to make a comparison, it's at a slower speed, a slower tempo. So when it comes down to the gameplay part, it's not that I cannot play it. It's just like, it'll be something for me that's like, okay, well, this is just a generic shooting game for me.
Well,
That's how
actually,
I
you
wanna
can't play it.
Well,
I'm
I can't
sorry.
anymore. I can't even purchase it anymore. But what I'm saying is that if I had given it a chance, for me, it would just be like, my brain has completely turned off and I'm pushing buttons, because it's not like, I won't say not interesting, but there's no flair behind it. I think they have one more hero shooter coming out, not this company, but Marvel Marvel Rivals. It's supposed to come out, I think, next year. And I saw gameplay for that. That looks more like akin to what Overwatch Glory Days was, where it was very fast paced. There were things to do. There, like, you had a goal in the game, and it was easy to understand. It was easy to play. It seems easy to play. It seems like, the gameplay was very fast, and it's also pretty cool seeing Iron Man, Spider-Man, Captain America, all of them fighting each other in like this big battle royale. Not necessarily around guns, but their own abilities in a shooter aspect. I think Iron Man and I think Star-Lord is in the game, so those are the two closest to guns when it comes to the characters. Spider-Man is shooting webs. But there's a difference, and you can tell that there's a flair in Marvel Rivals, even though the game hasn't been out yet. But this game just looks like, again, it's a generic shooter that just was put on the shelf. Yeah, you can play it, but how long will you play it for? Another thing, when it comes to live service games, I can play them. I can. I don't have an issue with live service games. But if it's going to be a live service game, it has to be good. People, I think a lot of times they don't realize that if you're going to have your player base invest into a game that once you're done with it, they can't enjoy it, then you should be putting 110% effort in allowing them to enjoy the game while the game is alive. I'm okay with live service games because I play gacha games, and it's just the gacha games have the same fate. Once their service is done, the game disappears. I can never go back to it. So I feel like it's the developer's responsibility to need to be able to develop a game that the fan base can play and can enjoy and say, there's a bittersweet moment when the servers finally shut down. Eventually. But 12 days? Shit, that's an, like, if failing had a face, it would be whatever logo this company's logo is. It's just like, wow.
Yeah.
Then there's the political aspect, and I cannot stress enough on why it's important to keep politics out of your content.
Agreed.
Especially for video games. Keep the politics out. If people want to complain that there is no gay, straight, homosexual, both ways, up ways, down ways, sideways, if people want to complain there's no representation of whatever sexual orientation, that's fine. That is fine. That is something that they will get over as they play the game if you focus on giving proper gameplay, if you focus on giving proper service, if you focus on giving proper DLC, since we're in this era where DLC is everything. So it's not like we can change that now. We have to accept it. If it's going to be a live service game, the game has to be maintenance correctly. It has to be on point with its maintenance. It has to be on point with whatever pay to win options are there or money spending options there is. Those are the things to focus on, because people will complain about it not being a gay representative in there somewhere, and then after a while of them playing it, it's not even going to matter to them anymore. They first and foremost, this guy here, what they would call him, a cis white male. He looks boring. Like literally, they look like they took I don't know, John out of one of the offices and just said, "Here, put on this suit, and we'll turn you into a 3D model." Like, he doesn't look interesting in any way. Not like Soldier 76, if I had to make a comparison. But Soldier 76 looks like a cross between Captain Commando and Cyclops, holding a rifle. Like, the characters are not interesting. What annoyed me the most is that they put an black person. I don't know if they're Black American or African American. I don't know what she identifies as. She could probably identify as zebra, to all I know. But at the end of the day, one, she's overweight. Two, she is of Black background. And you call that proper representation to something? Like what is that? Like, that doesn't even like, in the end of the day, all you're really doing is clowning the very people that are the 3% of gamers that's going to complain about what aesthetically is in the game and isn't in the game. Yep. You're just clowning them, because when I saw that character, I smirked. And I'm sorry to sound like if I sound evil for it, but I smirked, because it's like, so she's a woman who's fat. What can she cook too?
Well, we're in the time of making characters less attractive. I mean, if you saw the difference, you saw the difference of Mary Jane between Spider-Man 1 and Spider-Man 2.
Yes, but that's what I'm saying. In that I said it in our Stellar Blade podcast. I think it was about Stellar Blade, or focused around Stellar Blade. Is that in the end of the day, sex sells.
Yep.
And if you aren't going to make attractive characters, this is the primary proof of why it's important to keep politics out of your video games. You didn't want to make attractive characters, not one or two out of the 12 potential characters, but half your cast. Nobody in your cast, I can say, okay, is as alluring as Samus Aran or as Stellar Blade or as Bayonetta. And I'm sorry to say if it makes me sound like a bigot, or if it makes me sound shallow, but in the end of the day, those games saw success partially because of the female characters and how they were designed. Even when you look at, say, Overwatch, I know Tracer's homosexual, I believe.
Yeah.
Right. So, but Tracer is still an attractive person. When you look at Tracer for the type of game that she's in, or the type of abilities that she have, or what she's supposed to be, her body size model fits her. Personality fits her. So she's attractive, right? And then you have, again, Soldier 76. I take it on the men's side now. Soldier 76, he's stoic. He's mysterious because he's wearing the mask. He's tall, he's muscular. These are things it draws people in. It works. It's a formula that works. Why are we trying to redesign the wheel? It doesn't make sense. So I think this game.
Hey, yeah.
Well, I think
this game, ultimately, for the purpose of what they did, I will admit with Gunnar and say the game got what it deserved as a video game failing in the 12 months. I do feel bad for the developers, because I do get this inkling that Sony will shut down this department, or this company. And these are people who, maybe some of them didn't really care to design the game the way it is, but had to listen to Suits, who's looking for brownie points from a very small population of gamers and reporters. That's my take on it.
Yeah, that was a good one. And here's the thing. What makes it worse, at least in my opinion, is that this was a new IP. and I kind of always subconsciously root for new IPs because we live in a world where most of our media, not just video games, but music and especially movies and video games are remakes, reboots, and reimaginings and sequels.
Redundancy.
Like how many games? Look, I will admit, I think I've admitted before, I am part of that market because I'm going to be buying the HD remake of Dragon Quest III when that comes out. I'm gonna be buying the Suikoden. Like I'm part of the problem. I'm not gonna sit here and go like, well, I'm better than you. But it's because the new IPs that are coming out just they don't have it, and it sucks that a game like this, which had new original characters, we can discuss their looks. 6 Ways to Sunday, but at least it was a new IP, and it sucks to see a new IP die, even if this was shit, because that's just gonna send the message is like, okay, you know what, remake, let's make Call of Duty HD collection now, because nobody wants a new IP, so just remake something that people remember fondly and they liked. So that's what kind of sucks for me, because we don't have a lot of new IPs. But again, I would never support and I would never advocate anybody support something that's objectively bad in terms of appearance, visuals, messaging, and gameplay just because it's a new IP. Like, if it's bad, it's bad, and it should be treated as such. And we're seeing that with our 2 games that we're going to talk about today, Concord and Star Wars. Like, one's a new IP, one's from a legacy franchise. Both games are not what people want, and they are showing that with their wallets by withholding their wallet. So, on one hand, it sucks that it's a new IP, and this is a new IP that never got to flourish and will die a death. But I'm not going to support you when your game is trash just because you're a new IP. So, sucks, but what you gonna do?
Yeah.
Go ahead, brother.
Go ahead, Kong. No, go.
So I was just gonna piggyback off of what Wolf was saying. I don't think the game looks like absolute dog shit. It doesn't look amazing. It looks very, like he said, generic. It does, because I was looking at gameplay earlier before we got together on Discord to do the recording, and I was like, I could play this. It doesn't seem like unplayable. It's serviceable, like Gunnar said, but I just live service games are just I'm kind of over it, honestly. I would only ever play them if I had a group of at least 2 other people that would play with me, because I'm definitely not playing with randoms, because these games to me are toxic as fuck and sweaty as hell, and I'm not good.
Yeah.
I'm good. I'm good. I could be playing and doing a million other things with my time instead of playing a game that will just go away in 2 years anyway. So it's like, fuck it. Like, who cares? That's number 1. Number 2, I don't think the game looks that... Like, it's from an aesthetic and, like, from a art style point of view, it just looks lame. Like, it just looks whack to me. And I feel the same way about Apex Legends. Like, when that first came out, people were like, oh my god, it's so good. I was like, characters look kind of ass to me, bro. I don't know. They don't really pop to me in a positive way. And I feel the same way about this game. Like, these characters look kind of lame, like, or just weird, and not in a intriguing way, because I'm the guy who will play the weird character. But, like, when the entire cast is weird, it's like, okay, this is not normal. Like, you know what I mean? Because there are certain tropes that you would expect from a shooter, period, right? And this game doesn't try at all to fill it. Like, it's just like, let's get real wacky with the designs, and they succeeded, and it did not work, because they also tried to like cater to what I would think is a minority in the gaming community, like having, one of the characters is like modeled after like a black trans singer or whatever, and the character looks bad. Like, it's the character with like the purple hair and like the poofy whatever. And listen, I'm not trying to bash trans people, whatever. They exist, whatever, and whatever, right? They exist, cool. I don't, whatever. But like, damn, y'all couldn't pick like somebody who looks, you know what I mean? Like, you couldn't, couldn't spruce it up a little bit. Yeah, I got the power of like 3D modeling. Like, y'all couldn't
Yeah, I know the character you're talking about, and the outfit they put that person in was not
Nah,
helping.
giant
It's some
shoulder
like
pads
orange
or whatever.
traffic cone. Yeah.
I'm like, what
Yeah.
the like? Okay, like I'm looking at the character select screen. None of these characters, like the robot, the he/him robot, looks like the character I'd probably play, honestly, because it seems like the most normal among all of them. Um, and to your point, Gunnar, about the whole IP thing, new IP thing, you're right. Like this will just serve as an example to continue to bastardize established IPs because people are gonna, executives and developers and directors are gonna look at Concord as a shining example of like, yeah, new IPs don't work, and for people who go against the whole like, oh, if you want to try something new, do a new IP because you shouldn't rewrite the story of the Lord of the Rings or any other IP. You should just do your own thing. That doesn't work, especially if the designs are bad. Like if the game looks bad, or if it's a movie, if the art direction is bad, like people aren't gonna watch it. It's not gonna be successful. And it's not like new IPs can't succeed. Like Ghost of Tsushima was a new IP, and that game is fantastic. That's one of my favorite PS4 games. That's one of my favorite games. Like I love that game. I was gushing about it when it came out, and when I was playing, I was like, "This game is amazing." And looking at it at a more objective perspective after playing it, that game isn't. It's not the groundbreaking trendsetter that I kind of saw it as at the, when I was first playing it, because it does have like the cookie cutter, open world fog of war design where like you just kind of get quests or whatever.
Yeah.
It does have cookie cutter design in it, but some parts of the game, like the combat, the level up system, the compelling story, the fact that like I wasn't playing these weird characters, like the game just made sense. It's like you're in feudal Japan and you're getting invaded by the Mongolians and you have to defend Japan, and like there's inner conflict between how you do it, whether you do it the way of the ninja or the way of the samurai or whatever, and that was all interesting. But like this is a theme that's been proven to work. Like Japanese has rich culture, and there's a lot to draw from there, and so you would have to work really hard to like fail using that source material, in my opinion. But like look at this character right now. Like what the fuck are we looking at? Like this is like Big Mama Master Chief Edition. Like, what the hell is this?
You Jolly Green Giant over here?
Like,
Yeah.
I mean, compared to what we've seen, she looks the normal out of the others.
No, man, the blue lipstick kind of.
Okay. So see, this is a good example if I compare it to Overwatch again, right? There's a character,
Zarya?
Zarya, yeah. She's like a big, burly, like, Russian chick, big muscle mommy, but she still looks aesthetic, at least to me anyway, I don't know. She still looks aesthetically pleasing. And from a design perspective, like she shows off her muscles in her default outfit, and so you know what she's about. This chick looks like they just packed her up in packing foam and like put and colored it green. Like it's just aesthetically ugly. It is
Big Mama, fucking Martin Lawrence, Big Mama's fucking Doom Guy edition, fake ass reject character. That's what I see, bro. I can't unsee it because it's not cool. There's nothing cool about it.
It's like when you go to you go to a convention and you have a bad cosplay. Ironically, like that's the point. Haha, it's so bad. Look, I'm funny. That's what this is. But like, she took herself seriously, and the designers took that design seriously. Like I'm supposed to think this is cool.
Like if you had just simply slimmed the character down, I'd be a little more open. Like she's so bulky and just like, okay, I guess. I don't know, it just doesn't do anything for me.
She looks like a football player that got forced to go to war.
Oh, you're talking about the dude from Gears of War, the Coltrane? That's what you're talking about?
I think he just means in general.
She looks like a football player. Like she's wearing football
she couldn't
gear.
make it in the female football league on Earth,
like
so she came to this dimension and decided to shoot people with a Gatling gun. Whatever, right? Like it just doesn't. There's nothing compelling, and it's not just her, and it's not like a black person thing. Like, oh, the character's black, I don't like him. No, that's not. There are plenty of black characters that I love, like Dudley from Street Fighter. That character's cool as fuck.
But cool as fuck, right?
Bruce
Yeah.
Irving from Tekken. That guy's a badass. Like that, the whole like race thing. It literally does not matter to me. Is the character cool? That's it. Like, you know what I mean? And I feel like because there's so much pandering. Like the moment I see any character of color, I can't help but think, is this like a genuine design or is this like a pandering thing? You know what I mean? So.
But if you look at all the characters, to me, I do get a sense of this character was designed. It's like they're mocking, or they're trying to make. It's like a comedic approach to what the political views that is being forced upon us in today's day and age. Because I cannot take these characters seriously. Like, I really can't take these characters seriously in their design. The robot one, to me, looks like the Android symbol.
The actual like Android operating system.
Yes. That's what that robot reminds me of when I see it. And then there's this pink one that's supposed to be a female. She's also a robot. She reminds me of like a pink comical version of Gamora's sister from the Avengers movies, who was a robot, who was a female. Nebula. Like, these characters just seem so comical in whatever they're supposed to be that it's hard to take them seriously. So it's like, is this satire? Like, did you just do this to be funny?
No,
I think what it was is that they were just trying really hard to be different while trying to incorporate perspectives from, certain groups or whatnot. That's what it seems like to me.
So I could tell you this. Tekken is one of the weirdest fighting games that I've ever played. In any other fighting game that I've ever played, Tekken to me has the most eccentric characters out there. They're very different from any other fighting game character that I've ever come across. But at the end of the day, Tekken characters, the silliness that comes from them, it's like it's so intertwined and embedded with the character that it's like it's acceptable. It doesn't feel like they're trying to make fun of a person's culture, way of life, choice of design, choice of style. It just feels like, okay, they put these characters in a comical scene, or these characters are so over the top that you can probably get a giggle out of how they act with each other. But at the end of the day, there's this seriousness that these characters are that's designed to back these characters up. Like, to me, it's extremely silly that a father, son, and grandfather is fighting over blood that's in their body. Like, that's just silly. So when you see, Jin tying his grandfather and his father to a rocket to send them in outer space, it's like, this is so over the top, you can giggle at it. But in the end of the day, there's so much seriousness backing up Jin that it's like, this man really put his father and his grandfather on a rocket and sent them to the sun, send them to the moon. It's funny, but it's also backed up by their by how they were designed and how they're taking the scene. They've
tried everything else, but these
characters literally look like Toon monsters from Yu-Gi-Oh! Like Toon Blue Eyes White Dragon, or Toon Dark Magician Girl, or Toon Gemini. Like, these guys look like the Toon versions of Overwatch characters, or whatever they're supposed to be for a hero shooter. They look like clowns.
Yeah,
they do.
They do. And like you say that, like, these, I think they genuinely, because there's been a lot of, I don't have anything to back it up because I couldn't find it but there's been a lot of talk from some of the people who developed Concord on Twitter, because nowadays nobody can shut their fucking mouth, so they always have to have their opinion be heard. I think these people genuinely consider these character designs good. Like, they weren't trying to be ironic. They weren't trying to be funny.
Oh,
they literally
I can
think
believe
they're good
that.
designs.
I can absolutely believe that the people behind these character designs looked at these character designs and were like, yo, wait till people see this shit. Like, and I don't know, man. Like, I don't want to bring this perspective in, but I kind of have to. This is what happens when you get I'm gonna say unqualified individuals, and you give them any sort of creative power. This is what you get. You get just you didn't. Come on, man. Like one of my favorite shooters is Time Splitters. I love Time Splitters. That's such a great game. Another famous shooter is like GoldenEye. So many people love GoldenEye, right?
Yeah, that game was amazing.
Those games are so basic as far as like what the characters looked like, and everything was like very one dimensional. And that was okay because it wasn't about the lore and it wasn't about building this cinematic universe. It was just about a fun game, a fun, silly game to have fun. That's it. That's all it was. Halo Combat Evolved, another great shooter. The first 3 Halos. Those games were just their own thing. Gears of War, another great shooter. It's its own thing. Like, it doesn't try to be anything else. It has its identity, and unfortunately, this game has its identity, and it's not a good one. What were you gonna say?
So I have a question. I have a question. If this game were to come out maybe 10, 15 years ago, do you think it would have been successful as opposed to
I think it
would
have
now?
been more successful only because, and I only say that because when Overwatch came out, Overwatch was a success because it was different, and but it was different, but it was also like I think a well designed overall like multiplayer game. I had fun playing the game. I think the character designs were cool, right? Some of them were kind of goofy. Right, like Symmetra, for example, the character I played with the weird fucking tech or whatever. But like it kind of worked for her. But it wasn't nearly as goofy as some of these characters.
That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. That's why I feel like it's like they just made a joke of their own creation.
I agree. And before you wrap that, let me just say this last part. A game that came out right after Overwatch that reminds me of this game, and you guys listening might not know about it because it was a fucking failure. Not like this game. Battleborn. Yeah. Battleborn came out, I think, a year after, and the game flopped. Because why? Because the game kind of sucked, and the character designs weren't that interesting, and it just failed. So I think Concord would have just been another Battleborn had it came out 10 years ago. It would have been more successful, but not by much, to answer your question. And with that said, Wolf, you can continue. I'm sorry. I just wanted to get that out before I forgot.
The only way I could see this game being successful with the ridiculousness of their characters and the blatantly poor, very generic gameplay is if it came out during the time of when Time Splitters came out as a PS2 game with just 4 people who can play together in a room. To me, like it's very subpar.
I agree with that.
And
that's why I was saying like 10, 15 years ago. I would
Time
put it around
Splitters
that
is
time.
more like 20 years ago.
Yeah.
So
okay.
Yeah, because Time Splitters was accepted because of the goofiness behind the characters. But again, that's what I'm saying. The game was designed to be goofy, so we took that goofiness seriously. And
there you go. That's a good way of saying it. Yeah.
Right. But this game is meant to be serious, and yet we just find it goofy. And here we are 12 days later, 8 years of development, 8 years of hard work, 8 years of going back and forth between the suits and the creators and the developers and the producers, 8 years of wasting someone's time.
And the difference in the goofiness is not, because some people might hear go, well, that doesn't make sense because both games are goofy. No. Time Splitters, or games like it, are goofy in a charming way. There's nothing charming about this game, and that's the difference.
Exactly.
Yep.
Exactly. So it needed to fail because it needed to give. It has to be a martyr. That's how you say it. A martyr.
Yeah, martyr. Yep.
A martyr to war for people to realize the tactics have to change now.
It's not going to. It's not going to.
Yeah, it's like I don't know how many times you have to fail.
It's not going to, because what's going to happen is they're going to make this an isolated issue. They're going to pick something solely that Concord has done in their game and pinpoint that, and then pivot to the next game, add the same stuff, and then it's going to have some slight differences.
Yeah. They'll be like, oh, it's because we released it on a disc. That's why the game failed. If it was digital only, it would have succeeded.
Yeah,
Like, but sir, they remarked the gameplay was boring, the character design was unoriginal and ugly. No, it's because it was on disc. It's on
Or
disc.
because they tried
Alan
to
Wake knows what
release
they're
it
doing.
like a full game. This was a $40 game. Had they gone with a free to play model, it might have done better or whatever.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
yeah, and the thing is about the like back to the whole character designs and whatnot. I don't want people to get the viewers to get the misconception that anything out of the norm is weird to us. Like we don't like it. The problem with these characters, that if I can sum it all up, is that these characters have no soul. You have the big burly character, yes, that kind of look like, she's in Warhammer to some degree with the big shoulder pads and whatnot. You have characters in Street Fighter like Marissa, who's brolic as hell, but she still like has this look to her. She looks cool, the type of outfit she wear and whatnot. You have Dalsim, who's a weird character, and he can kind of like extend his extremities way further than anybody else can. The whole fat chick or whatever that character in this game.
It's
They
a guy,
have
actually.
whatever it is, right?
Mm.
It's you have games like Fat Princess, and that game is successful and whatnot. So it's like,
Well, you have guys like Bob in Tekken, like
Yeah.
yeah,
he was
Bob
fat,
too.
and that was his whole fighting style. Like like Wolf said, like they embraced the goofiness and they took the goofiness seriously, and you're like, oh, okay, all right, he's big because that's his fighting style, and then he does backflips and cartwheels and flash kicks and shit. It's like, oh, well, Bob can still move, so.
I mean, it's
Good on you,
possible.
Bob.
I've seen it in real life because if it's one thing's for certain that Tekken does really well is that they take real good motion caps of actual fighters, and I've seen big dudes actually move like that. I'm kind of like shocked and jealous because I can barely even I can barely even be as flexible as they can and whatnot. But yeah, the thing is, the characters in this game they have no soul. It that's pretty much what it boils down to. I don't know what they were thinking. Like, you have the internet, you can draw inspiration from several different forms of media.
That's the problem. They drew inspiration from the wrong stuff.
I would even say
That's the
I don't
problem.
even know.
That's the
I don't
first
even know.
problem.
I don't know.
Like not any sensible person isn't asking for this game to be like the beach volleyball game from not Virtua Fighter.
Tekken.
Dead or Alive.
Dead or Alive, yeah. Not everybody's asking, can I get Dead or Alive volleyball guns? No, not everybody wants that. Like most people, at least once you hit a certain age, are sensible. But it's just like they did everything in their power to make their characters look ugly as possible, so they can beat any allegations of male gazing or, oh, see, our game is good because we have good characters with no sex appeal, so people are playing our game because they love it. It's like, man,
that is so dumb because it's like that's like a cigarette company. Like, hey, yeah, we're making cigarettes with no nicotine. Like, the purpose of people purchasing your damn product is because of the nicotine.
Like, you can have females. Like, again, we go back to the big chicken armor. Kong said it. You can have her just a little, not so bulky looking. Like, she takes up 3 seats on the airplane. Like, you could slim her down a bit and just, like, keep her in the armor if you want to have that aura of, like, frontline girl with, like, power armor that leads the charge. Like, you can
a good example is
that.
What's the character's name in Apex? The hardened black chick or whatever with the short haircut. Carbine?
Oh, I don't
like that.
I think so. I don't know names in Apex, but I know the face. I know the face.
That character to me is like, all right, if that's what you're gonna go for, then cool. Like, she's a good example. Like, I mean, she's kind of like, one dimensional in my opinion as well. But like, I feel like that's a better starting point than like what they ended up with here in this game. So it's like there's a way to do it, man. And like, if you look at the cover of the game, it looks super generic. Like, everything about this game screams, just. I've seen this. I've played this before. You've seen Guardians of the Galaxy, I guess, and so you kind of wanted to make a game around that, but you didn't have the IP, and so this is what we got. This is what it feels like.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sony went hard on this too because we saw controllers. I wouldn't have been surprised if there were faceplates on the in the pipeline for this game. Like Sony sunk a lot of resources into this, and for it to die as fast as it. Okay, like I don't know if we're seeing the same footage, but now some chick with a rocket launcher is out, and she looks like fucking bootleg Fury from Metal Gear Solid 3. Like this is just it's not
She
just
looks
ugly,
like
it's uninspiring.
those like $5 model kits that I'd be seeing. Like, oh, okay, from those like non-reputable companies.
It's the Spirit Halloween option when you can't get Master Chief because they don't own it, so it's Chief Master. Like,
Yeah,
it's Green Army Man. Like,
talk about those Asian gift stores where it's like, oh, you have the He-Man action figures and everything is a He-Man action
or like
figure.
Super Friends, and they have Master Chief, Batman, Superman, and Iron Man in there. It's like
These characters, what they remind me of is like, you ever play a game where like you make your own character and then you see your character in the cutscenes and he or she does not fit the overall art style. They stick out like a sore thumb.
Yeah.
All of the characters feel like that in this game. They all stick out like a sore thumb, and not in a good way.
And it's like, for me anyway, it's for this character that we're looking at, it's like, oh, she would have been better if I could see her tits. No, it's not about that. She would have just been better if she had a better outfit. You know who she's mimicking? She's mimicking Zyra. I think it's Zyra. No, Farah, sorry. She's mimicking Farah from Overwatch. And why does Farah look cool? Because she has a cool haircut and she has a cool fucking mech suit.
Yep.
That's
She
why
does.
that's why Farah is liked by people. And this character is mimicking Farah's gameplay style. But she looks ugly.
But you know what the problem is as well? Like, to compound the aesthetic, the poses, the mannerisms, like it's all like weird. Like, if you see how she's
goofy.
holding the rocket launcher, she's like all lanky and like her pose looks so like unheroic. You know what I'm saying?
It goes back to goofy. They're not taking. They're making. They failed their own creations. They failed their characters. It's just that simple. Shit sucks. Next.
Well, I mean, if you want to do it for the lulz, anybody's watching, pick up a game. It's like, hey, look, I have a dead game. You can put it right next to ET and the history of
apparently
video games,
some people
'cause
are buying this game and flipping it
I
online
believe it.
for like a lot of money, and it's like, I don't. The disc is useless. I don't. It's kind of like Fortnite had a disc release at one point before it became a battle royale game, and so when Fortnite was like at its peak in 2018 or whatever it was, the discs were going for like $400 on eBay or whatever, which was pointless because it's like the disc is just a launcher to the game you download anyway. So it was just like I can understand why people would grab it just to have like a piece of history, just for preservation purposes. But like a lot of people are. It's just like a meme. It's a weird meme thing to have this game. It's like, oh, I have the game that failed in 2 weeks, 12 days, from Sony, and it's like, ooh, okay, like that's a weird flex.
Cool.
Sure. It's like kind of having like the physical.
You'll be able to buy a house with that one.
Probably not. It's kind of having like a physical copy of Destiny 2 or Destiny 1. It's like, okay, cool. That's a cool coaster, basically. So I don't know. I don't have much else to say about this game. There won't be much else more to say because the game is now dead. They might try to bring it back as a free-to-play game and revamp some of the gameplay mechanics. I don't think Sony's going to take this one lying down. I think they're going to kind of use this for something. It's like, no, well, this costed us $200 million. We're going to do something with it.
It'd be interesting. Not that I probably play whatever their next creation is.
I really don't know or care as to what they do with it. That's just my overall prediction. But anyway, if you guys have any final thoughts, now would be a good time, and then we can wrap it up.
Nah.
Nope.
Said everything I needed to.
Yeah, that's pretty much it.
Okay, well, with that being said, for those who are listening, thank you for your viewership. Appreciate it. If you enjoyed this video, leave a like or a dislike on the video. Comment down below. Let us know what you think about... I almost said Discord again. What you think about Concord. We briefly mentioned Star Wars Outlaws. We don't have... At least I don't have much to say about the game. I know the game is It's doing better than Concord, that's for damn sure. But it's not hitting the numbers that Ubisoft wants it to hit. And Ubisoft's stock has gone down. It's at a 10-year low. I think I mentioned that in the beginning. So they're not doing too good either. We'll see how Assassin's Creed Shadows does for them later this year.
Yeah, for their sake, they better hope it does well.
For their sake, I am not buying the game. I have no interest in it at all. So anyway,
It's another hero shooter, right?
no, it's an Assassin's Creed game.
No,
It's the one in
Assassin's
No,
Creed.
the Black
Oh,
Samurai.
okay.
Um,
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
I plan on playing it, so I'll let you guys know how.
that game doesn't look egregious. Like Assassin's Creed games are typically serviceable, so it might play fine.
I think it'll do.
I think it'll do
fine.
okay, or just good enough, because I think again the Japanese aesthetic is a very alluring one, and there's a lot to draw from, and I think a lot of people
Yep.
enjoy that, including myself. I don't like new Ubisoft, and I don't want to support any of the stuff that they work on, especially if I feel like it's subpar cookie cutter. So that's just me. That's just my take. And also, a lot of their games are no longer on disc. Like a lot of their games is like you would need to there's a day one download that you have to do to play the game, and I don't like that because if I want to play the game in 15 years and they decide to turn off the servers or whatever, I have a useless disc and I hate that. So they won't be getting my money anyway. Check the description down below. I'll leave a link to this video that you're seeing now. This is a random YouTube clip that I found. This is not my footage. This is from YouTube user Kuzo. So if you want to see more about this game, not that you can play it, but you can watch it, I guess. That video will be in the description, as well as both articles that we linked or talked about in the beginning. In the description as well, you'll find our social media links. So we have Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, Discord, and a TikTok, as well as a Twitch. Mr. Esoteric streams on Twitch 2 to 3 times a week, and he plays a variety of games. So definitely check out his channel and give him a follow. And yeah, that's it. That's this week's episode. Concord, another failure. Another win for the old gamer, I think. It's a small win, but it's a win nonetheless. See you guys next week.
You think those?
Yep.